to another episode of Catholic Ad Lib, where we're delving into a subject, the subject of love, and we want to follow up the last interview we did with a perspective of love from a younger person, not a young person, but a younger person. And we're happy to have with us Jesse, and we'll spend a few minutes getting to know Jesse. So without further ado, Jesse, welcome.
Sure. Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So I'm Jesse Feltz. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. So born in the western part of the city, moved out to a western suburb. I went to a non-denominational grade school, a Catholic high school, very supported by my family, very loved, and really great group of friends. So, and just being part of a community who really loved the Lord was really crucial to who I am today. So very, very grateful for that, very blessed.
And then you matriculated. We're going to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Decided to go to college out of state.
Yes, yeah. So decided to go to St. Francis University in Western Pennsylvania, a little town called Loretto, and so went there. That was right after high school. No gap year or anything like that. So.
And what drew you to Loretto? And because it's kind of out of the way.
Yeah,
right?
it is out of the way. So, I think like most Catholic men during high school and college era, you're kind of discerning, what do I want to do, and this and that, and at that time it was also discerning, is God calling me to be a priest or a brother or married? And I'm kind of just all over the place, trying to be very open. I was looking at Steubenville, thought I was going to go there, and versus St. Francis University versus DeSales University. Those are my top three. I was like, Lord, if I go to Steubenville, I'm going to go into pre-med. If I go into DeSales University, I'll go into their physician assistant track. If I go to St. Francis, I'll do their physical therapy track because I like science. And so just kind of ended up going there. I went to a night of adoration when I visited there. And it was just a very, very small group adoring the Lord on a Wednesday night. And just a great sense of peace. So that was kind of a telltale sign, just peace and joy.
And that's prior to you having decided to go there.
Yeah, so that's partly how I decided, and
Okay.
It's amazing how the Lord just, can just lead you in your heart and kind of prompt you to go there. But yeah.
And then you went to St. Francis and you majored in
biology. Well, so I started in the physical therapy program and realized that wasn't for me for various different reasons. Switched into pre-med, into biology. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about your freshman year. What were your, besides school or classwork, academics, studying, did you do sports? Did you do any the extracurricular things?
Sure. Yeah, freshman year was a fun year. So I was involved in the campus ministry, so doing a fair bit of their programming, which was a good group to be a part of. Played a lot of intramural sports with some of the guys in the dorm, so basketball, football, frisbee, a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
A real small school, so
Mm-hmm.
a nice community there.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course school. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mass? What time of day? Or
Yeah.
during the week?
During the week. So I would try to go to weekday mass, which was awesome. It was at 12. It's at noon, and then Sunday mass we'd have our student mass at like 9 p.m. It was late.
Sunday evening?
Sunday evening, yeah. I know that's not late for college, but I'm kind of an early riser and an old man at heart, so it was late, but yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't recall. So I know a little bit of Jesse's history here. So, and we're kind of taking it slow on purpose. Was it Mass, or was it the Rosary after Mass, where you would spend time in the chapel? Am I correct? I'm recalling the Rosary, where you would pray the Rosary there, and you may have met somebody.
Yes. So you may be alluding to how I met my wife. which
I am alluding.
yeah, 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 a great
Tell us about
a
that.
great place to meet. So it was at before a prayer meeting. So that was a Thursday night. They had a praise and worship prayer meeting, and so yeah, I was in the chapel and just might have been probably the first prayer meeting of the year, and just you know, beautiful lady caught my eye, and was introducing myself, and so that's where I met Mary Claire. So somehow I convinced her to marry me. The Lord convinced her.
Oh, you're really
to
fast forwarding here.
yeah. Well, I spoiled it, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we already said that she was my wife, but
Yeah.
but I realized that she was also in my history class, which worked out great because I could care less about history, and and so yeah. We joke to this day of now that she gets to know me, I'd asked if she wanted to study for the history exam, and she knows that I don't study with people like very much.
You
let me
made an
just
exception with
made an
her?
exception. Yeah, I was like, I'm kind of just getting into my zone for science and stuff, a little more rigorous.
Yeah.
For history was, whatever. So
So this is a kind of a high hard one question, if you will.
Mhm.
When you were 18, your freshman year of college,
Mhm.
you had some connotation of love. Uh, may have been spot on. I don't know. And then you met Mary Claire. What did she exhibit that kind of struck a chord, or more than that, with you? If you could describe that, what was it about
Mhm.
her?
I would say her ability to accept people as they are. So kind of just very, very accepting, and non-judgmental, and just very yeah. That did catch me right away, of her just ability to just meet with someone as they are,
Mm.
and not to have any agenda, not to have any, just to love them, just accept them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Pretty fundamental.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So talk about your getting to know Mary Claire in the faith. I mean, she was Catholic,
Mhm.
is Catholic, and you are Catholic. So that worked kind of, you were comfortable with that, good,
Right,
right?
right.
When you got to know her faith, tell us about that, if you could.
Yeah. So that, in getting to know her, I mean, we met in a church, right? So that was a good first sign. Like, great, okay. At a prayer meeting, it wasn't necessarily even just mass; it was something a little bit extra. So from the start, could tell that her faith, it was and is something meaningful to her. It wasn't just kind of. I'm not saying everyone does this, but just sort of like, yeah, I got to go to mass. Let me check a box and move on. But it was something that was a night out at in college. So from the get go, that was a good sign. And then she was involved in campus ministry a lot as well. So we did a lot of went on a retreat together with a bunch of other freshmen, and there's like a rosary group. Daily mass. A group of us would go to daily mass, then go to lunch afterward, and so just you can really bond much faster when you have common denominator of faith, right there at from the get go. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
When you say much faster, um, you took comfort and solace in the fact that her faith was important to her. Had
Yeah,
it not
yeah.
been that way, though, so an attractive young lady, okay, she's at mass, nice, maybe rosary, nice. These things are nice, but as you got to know her and her faith, I don't know, it could have been a favorite saint of hers, could have been how she discussed her relationship with Jesus, or anything like that that really began to hit that really important chord of, oh boy, or oh girl, whatever. This is,
Right,
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
you
So.
see where I'm going with that?
hmm So it was family weekend, and her family came up, and so I had met. This was early in freshman year, so um, we had been hanging out with all the campus ministry things and the events I just mentioned, and I was like, okay, this, she's certainly special, and of course, in my mind, wanted to end up with someone who was Catholic and took their faith seriously. And then it was when I met her family and saw her interacting with her family and spent time with her. It was that weekend. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna marry her. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah. And so it was just a beautiful. Yeah, everything was kind of just coming together. So a lot of the heartstrings kind of being pulled and various different levels. So
Hmm.
just getting to know her as a person, getting to know how important her faith was, some common interests, just, you know, so easy to be myself and just be free to have fun and not don't have to didn't have to ever put on any airs of like trying to impress her. Um, yeah, and then just sort of all this kind of culminating. I had kind of a sense, and then just sort of that kind of weekend was like, yeah, this is amazing, like too good to be true. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you were to give counsel to somebody going to college, just talk for a minute about the importance of faith and in a relationship, and maybe not being on the same page, because you don't have to be on the same page.
Hmm.
But if somebody is, let's say, cavalier about their faith, that would pose some challenges. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I think it. Again, I'm not an expert on love. I'm not an expert on faith or really
I
anything.
don't think anybody
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Right.
But in order to be able to love, you have to have first been loved, right? And we know that, we've heard that, and so for someone to be able to give themselves to another person in any various ways, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be any way at all. You first have to come from a standpoint of having been loved and secure in that. And so, um, if you are practicing your faith and in a relationship with the Lord, the source of love, right? You are freed, from the fear of not being loved. You're free from, all the, you know, um, the things the world tells you that you need, right? And so you're able to give of yourself and to love in that way. And so,
Hmm.
you know, otherwise it's so easy uh, to want to use people or to um, you're still kind of insecure in who you are. And I'm not saying that I was secure in who I was exactly, but um, I think going, if you're listening to this and you're going to college or whatever stage of life, right? I mean, it's just in order to love, you have to have first been loved, and you have to be able to give of yourself and not be like seeking your fulfillment in someone else, because then you're kind of like you're wanting something from them. Um, yeah, so that's
Okay.
yeah.
Another specific question.
Mhm.
I've been to your house. I've been to their house many times. I can say that, and not just by the books or the things on the wall, but I think it's fair to say that in your family, Jesus Christ is very important. Talk for a minute about what that does for you and Mary Claire as a married couple,
Mhm.
and talk about that what that does for you as now a father of three children with one on the way.
Yes. So it focuses, our priorities. So we are. It makes it. I mean, there's a lot of competing things going on. We're going to mass obviously on Sunday, and if there's an opportunity to go to mass or adoration, we just my son and I went to adoration just the other day, going out before going to a store. I think it really helps ground us in the love of God, and that's what sustains us, and then what allows us to love each other better, to love our children, because that's children are such a blessing, and as I'm sure you know, John, right? they demand a lot of you and a lot of sacrifice. Marriage does as well, right? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, if we're not staying rooted in the Eucharist and the love of God and the sacrament of reconciliation, receiving the Lord's mercy, uh, we're what are we doing? Yeah, we're it's easy to just get caught up in the day to day. Oh, got to do this, got to go to work, got to get this done, got to get that done, and you're kind of a little more self-absorbed. And so, of course, I'm not like certainly not a saint and nowhere close. So I can see myself going back. My priorities are switching sometimes, right? And I'm not always having the Lord as the top priority. And so, but I can looking back and can easily see, oh wow, like the days that are really rough in it, it's sort of self-inflicted sometimes, So,
Okay, great. So we'll come clean at this point. Jesse is my son-in-law. Probably inferred that by now.
yeah.
I'm not good at keeping secrets. The the family day is he was absolutely right. That was a big day for us too, because we met you and saw how you interacted, especially with my children, and you weren't trying to impress us. And it's great, and I'm not surprised to hear you say that, in a manner of speaking, Mary Claire impressed you the same way. Just accepting, and I'm touched that you would describe her that way,
Mm.
since she's my daughter. So that's great. Um, One last question, and that would be um, prayer. Um, you've you've impressed me as there's a few people I know that I know full well that prayer is so very, very important, and I believe it is for you. Just take a minute to talk about what prayer is for you, what it means for you, and what life would be like without that,
Mm.
if you can.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
So
Maybe take part of it.
yeah, I'll start in little chunks, I guess. So prayer, what is prayer to me? So so obviously prayer is communication with the Lord, right? And lots of different ways to pray. And growing up, it was always impressed upon me the importance of having a prayer time. Time that you set aside for praying to the Lord, and try to impress that upon my son, Leo. What do you do every morning when you wake up? Say good morning to the Lord, read some of your Bible, and so I think that it is something that keeps me rooted in the source of life and love. Um, and it's when I say, I'm too busy for prayer, and maybe I have legitimate reasons that I'm really busy, but if I don't make the time for prayer, then the day's going to go bad. Anything could happen, but internally I'm going to be a little bit dead. Yeah, so prayer is essential. I think my idea of prayer has really evolved, maybe as I've matured. I'm not saying I'm mature, but I've matured somewhat, to the point of seeing prayer as an ability, like the way in which I get the grace that I need to do what I need to do. So kind of like still a self-focused like mentality. Um, and embarrassingly, just recently, kind of really seeing prayer as this is how I give my heart to God, who is deserving of everything, and it's just.
Mm.
Prayer is a response to the justice of who God is and what He deserves, which is my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the same thing with going to Mass. So, I'm going to go to Mass so I can get the Eucharist, so I can have the grace I need to do what I need to do, or even what God needs me to do, as opposed to I'm going to Mass because I want to give the Lord my life. He deserves my entire being, and I want to sacrifice that to the Lord, and then then enter into communion with Him and experience a beautiful relationship with Him. But yeah, not saying so. I'm just now shifting to try to see prayer more as yes, a dialogue or relationship, but also like it's all about God and how much God is deserving of my attention, as opposed to yeah, I need something out of this. Like, I'm coming. Yes, I need you, but I'm coming because I need you, as opposed to you deserve me to come to you. Yeah, yeah. So
Great, great.
plenty
Thank
more
you.
growth to come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're going to wind down, and I just thought of one last question, and this is something that I've been myself praying with for the past few weeks, and it's a kind of an icebreaker. I know we're at the end,
Yeah.
but it's an evangelical icebreaker, if you will, an evangelization icebreaker, I should say. So this doesn't deserve or necessitate a long answer, but just your reaction. I'm curious. You're the first person that I'm testing this question on, and you have no idea what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Here's the question: are you overwhelmed by the gospel?
Not as much as I should be.
Probably the right answer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are to some extent, and why is that?
Yeah. Because it's absurd.
in our feeble minds.
Yeah, it's absurd. Just like the
Hear,
God
hear.
of the universe coming down to be a baby,
Doesn't
born
make
to poor
it
people.
doesn't make
like,
sense
Doesn't make any sense.
to us.
To love me, to die, like to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
to show us love, which is self-sacrifice, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's absurd. That's a pretty cool answer.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
understand the context in which
Yeah.
you mean it. So
Yeah.
great.
In a good way. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for being a little guinea pig for me
Sure.
on that one. So
Yeah. Happy to.
again, my son-in-law Jesse Feltz. God blesses us, my family, a lot, and Jesse's one of the many reasons. So thank you.
Yeah.
for
Thank you,
being
Dad.
here. Thanks for taking time from the
Yeah.
picnic.
Yeah. My pleasure.
And thank you for watching and listening. And if you have any questions, send them along to catholicadlib@gmail.com. Thank you all.